My boyfriend had a habit, always hide his phone screen when I walked by. One night, I waited until he fell asleep and used his finger to unlock his phone. What I found? A private Snapchat account full of women. Instead of crying, I sent a message to every one of them, "Hey, this is his girlfriend. Just wanted to say hi." The next morning, his notifications exploded. And his excuses didn't save him this time. I should have known. I should have trusted my gut. I should have seen the signs. But when you love someone, you ignore things. You make excuses. You tell yourself you're just overthinking. Ryan and I had been together for 3 years. We met in Chicago, at a coffee shop, the most cliché way possible. He was charming, sweet, funny. The kind of guy who always knew how to make you laugh when you had a bad day. The kind of guy who remembered how you liked your coffee and brought it to you before you even had to ask. For the first 2 years, everything was perfect. Or at least, I thought it was. Then, things started to change. At first, it was subtle. His phone was always face down on the table. He started keeping it on silent. He never used to care if I grabbed his phone to check the weather or change the music. But suddenly, if I even reached for it, he'd snatch it up like it was a bomb about to go off. I asked him about it once. He laughed and said, "You're being ridiculous. I just don't want distractions when we're together." I let it go. I wanted to believe him. But the feeling wouldn't go away. Then came the late nights. The sudden shift in his schedule. The way he'd be exhausted after falling asleep early, yet still had energy to grab his phone at 2 a.m. and turn away from me, the screen lighting up his face. I noticed the change in his texts, too. He used to text me all the time. Now, sometimes hours would go by before I got a reply. His excuse? Work has been crazy. Ryan worked in marketing. His job wasn't that crazy. Still, I ignored it. Until I couldn't. That night, he fell asleep before me, like always. His phone was right there on the nightstand, inches away. For a long time I just lay there, staring at it. My heart was pounding. I knew I shouldn't invade his privacy. I knew that once I opened that phone, I couldn't unsee whatever was inside. But I also knew I was done feeling crazy. So I reached for his hand, gently pressed his index finger to the sensor. The screen unlocked. My stomach dropped. The first thing I noticed was Snapchat. Ryan never used Snapchat. At least, not that I knew of. But there it was, right on his home screen. And not just his regular account, he had a second one. A private one, with a random username I'd never seen before. I clicked it. I wish I hadn't. Messages. So many messages. Some were old. Some were from that night. And the pictures. Half-naked photos of women. Some were selfies, others were taken in hotel rooms, bathrooms, even one in what looked like the inside of a car. One message caught my eye immediately. "When are we meeting again?" Winking face, I felt sick. I clicked on another chat. "I had fun last time. Hope we can go longer next time." Face blowing a kiss, the nausea hit me like a truck. These weren't just random conversations. This wasn't just casual flirting. This had been going on for months. And these weren't just 1 or 2 women. There were at least 7 different names. I went numb. My hands weren't even shaking. My body just shut down. I stared at the screen, feeling nothing. And then, I did something I didn't expect. I started typing. To every single one of them, "Hey, this is Ryan's girlfriend. Just wanted to say hi." Then, I put the phone down, turned off the lamp, and lay back on the bed. I closed my eyes. And I waited. I waited. For a long time, nothing happened. The room was quiet except for the sound of Ryan breathing next to me, deep in sleep, completely unaware of the bomb I had just set off. Then, his phone buzzed. Once. Twice. Then it wouldn't stop. The screen kept lighting up, notification after notification, messages pouring in. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. I had already done what I needed to do. I rolled over and stared at the ceiling, listening to the buzzing, my mind racing. Would they believe me? Would they even care? Were they just like him, playing their own game? A part of me didn't care. The damage was done. The truth was out. And soon, Ryan would wake up and realize his carefully built lie was falling apart right in front of him. The buzzing stopped. Silence. Then, one last ping. A single notification popped up on the screen, a name I didn't recognize. Who is this? Girlfriend? I thought he was married. My blood turned ice cold. I sat up so fast the bed creaked. Married? Ryan wasn't married. We had lived together for 2 years. His stuff was in our closet, his name was on the lease. There was no way, but my gut told me otherwise. My hands moved on their own, grabbing the phone, scrolling through the messages. There she was. Danielle. I clicked the chat. I miss you. I hate that we have to sneak around like this. Can't wait to see you this weekend. Maybe you can finally stay the night? I stared at the screen, my vision going blurry. My ears were ringing. He wasn't just talking to random women. He wasn't just sneaking around behind my back. He was leading a double life. I turned to look at him. He was still asleep, peaceful, like he wasn't a complete fraud. I wanted to shake him awake. I wanted to throw his phone at him. I wanted to scream in his face and demand answers. But instead, I sat there, gripping the phone so tight my knuckles turned white. Danielle thought he was married. That meant, she thought I was the other woman. I felt like I was going to be sick. I got out of bed, still clutching the phone, and walked into the living room. My hands were sweating. I wiped them on my pajama pants, staring at the screen, at the messages, at the life I had no idea existed. I needed proof. More proof. I started scrolling faster, looking through their chat history. Photos. Texts. Voice messages. Then, I found it. A picture of them. Ryan and Danielle. Together. It wasn't just a selfie. It wasn't some casual, friendly picture. It was them at a wedding. His arm around her. Her leaning into him. He was wearing a suit I had never seen before. And she? She was in a navy blue dress, smiling like she had everything she ever wanted. My hand shook as I checked the date. 2 months ago. 2 months ago, when he had told me he was on a work trip. 2 months ago, when I had spent the weekend alone, watching movies, thinking he was in another city. He was at a wedding. With her. And then, it hit me. I knew that wedding. It wasn't just some random event. I had seen the invitation. I had heard him talk about it. It was his cousin's wedding. The same cousin who had sent us a save-the-date card. The same cousin who had assumed I would be coming as Ryan's guest. But instead, he brought her. I stood there, heart pounding so hard it hurt. This wasn't just cheating. This was an entirely different level of betrayal. I didn't even know who Ryan was anymore. And the worst part? I had no idea what I was going to do next. I paced the living room, my breath coming in short, uneven bursts. My mind was racing. My hands felt numb. He had brought her to his cousin's wedding. His family knew about her. Did they know about me? I had met his mom. His dad. His sister. I had gone to his family's holiday dinners, smiled in their pictures, listened to their stories. His mom always texted me on my birthday. His sister and I had gotten drinks together. And yet, they let this happen. Did they think I was just some clueless fool? Were they laughing behind my back? My stomach twisted, while rising in my throat. I scrolled through more messages. More proof. More lies. Then, I saw something else. An address. Danielle had sent it just last week. You left your jacket at my place. Pick it up whenever 2 hearts. An address in Naperville. A place we had driven through before. A place he had told me was boring and too far when I once suggested we check out an art fair there. I copied the address, opened Google Maps, and stared at the location. My heart pounded. I knew I was about to do something stupid. I grabbed my keys. Ryan was still asleep when I left. I drove on autopilot, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles ached. The sun was just starting to rise, painting the sky a deep orange. My phone sat in the passenger seat, the address pinned on the screen. 20 minutes later, I was parked outside a small brick townhouse with navy blue shutters. A well-kept yard. A wreath on the door. It looked normal. Cozy. Like someone's home. Not a hotel. Not an Airbnb. Not some casual meetup spot. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel, my mind racing. Was I really going to do this? Before I could talk myself out of it, the door opened. A woman stepped outside. Danielle. I recognized her immediately. She was shorter than me. Blonde. Pretty. Wearing a sweatshirt and leggings, her hair still messy from sleep. She carried a travel mug in one hand, her phone in the other. She looked normal. And she had no idea I was watching her. I watched as she stepped onto the porch, unlocked her car, and reached inside. She pulled out a jacket, Ryan's jacket. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just some fling. He stayed here. I could barely breathe. I reached for my phone, my fingers shaking, and opened our messages. My last text from Ryan was from 2 nights ago. Good night, babe. I love you. 2 nights ago. Where was he 2 nights ago? I gritted my teeth and tapped out a message. Morning. What are you up to? I watched her, phone in hand, waiting. Seconds passed. Then my phone vibrated. Ryan's reply popped up. Just woke up. You? Liar. I stared at him typing, another message coming in. Thinking about breakfast. Maybe pancakes. I clenched my jaw. I watched as Danielle got into her car, still holding his jacket, still completely unaware of me sitting there. I made a decision. I opened my camera, zoomed in on her holding the jacket, and took a picture. Then I sent it to him. Oh yeah? Then why is Danielle holding your jacket right now? The message delivered. I waited. And then, he stopped typing. The 3 dots that had been bouncing at the bottom of the screen, the ones that meant he was typing, stopped. Nothing. I stared at my phone, gripping it so hard I thought I might crack the screen. Then, finally, his reply came in. Where are you? That was it. Not what are you talking about? Not who is Danielle? Not even some half-baked excuse. Just where are you? He knew. I didn't reply. Instead, I got out of my car. Danielle was still in her driver's seat, sipping her coffee, scrolling through her phone. She hadn't noticed me yet. I walked straight up to her window and knocked. She jumped, looking up, eyes wide. I saw the confusion first. Then wariness. She rolled down the window halfway. Can I help you? I took a breath. My voice was steady when I spoke. You don't know me. But I think we need to talk. Her fingers tightened around her coffee cup. Okay. I held up my phone, showing her the texts. I'm Ryan's girlfriend. I watched it happen, the exact second her face fell. The way her lips parted slightly, her breath hitching, the way she blinked too fast like she was trying to process what I had just said. No, she said, shaking her head. No, that's not. I turned the phone, showing her the last text Ryan sent me. The one where he told me he loved me. Her lips trembled. She swallowed hard. I saw the exact moment realization hit. I thought, she started, then stopped, pressing her fingers to her temple. I already knew what she was going to say. I finished for her. You thought I was the other woman. She inhaled sharply. Her hands trembled. I didn't feel bad for her. I should have, maybe. But all I could think about was the wedding picture. The one where she smiled like she had everything she ever wanted. She turned away, gripping the steering wheel. He told me, her voice cracked. He told me he was married. That he was stuck in a bad situation. That he couldn't leave yet. My stomach twisted. He had lied to both of us. She exhaled a shaky breath, her eyes still on the dashboard. How long? 3 years, I said flatly. She let out a strangled laugh. 3 years? She finally looked at me, her eyes red. We've been together for 2. I went still. 2 years. 2 years of overlapping lies. 2 years of him playing both of us, splitting his life between 2 women. I suddenly felt lightheaded. She let out a shaky breath. Oh my God. Oh my, and then, before either of us could say anything else, her phone rang. She flinched. I didn't even have to look at the screen to know who it was. I watched as her jaw clenched. She looked at me, her face suddenly unreadable. Then she answered. Hey, babe. I didn't react. She put it on speaker. Where are you? His voice came through, sharp. Panicked. Danielle's grip on the phone tightened. Just heading out. Why? I stayed silent. Ryan exhaled. Listen, something weird is going on. Someone texted a bunch of my friends last night, pretending to be my girlfriend. I let out a bitter laugh before I could stop myself. Danielle didn't even blink. Oh, she said. That's crazy. Ryan kept talking. Yeah, like, I don't know if it's some ex trying to mess with me or what, but, wait. Why are you acting weird? Danielle looked at me. Then she said, voice like ice, because she's standing right next to me. Silence. And then, the call ended. I almost laughed. He ran. He didn't call back. He didn't try to explain. He didn't try to fix it. He just ran. Danielle stared at the phone in her hands, breathing hard. That coward. I looked at her. Are you still in love with him? She hesitated. That was enough of an answer. I let out a slow breath. I don't know what you want to do, but I'm done. I'm packing his stuff today. He's not stepping foot in my apartment again. She chewed her lip. I need time to think. I didn't tell her what to do. That wasn't my place. Instead, I turned and walked away. When I got home, Ryan's car was gone. I stepped into the apartment, looked around at all his stuff, and grabbed a suitcase. I packed everything. His clothes. His stupid protein powder. His gaming console. The hoodie I used to steal, because it smelled like him. All of it. I didn't cry. When I was done, I took his keys off the hook, placed them on top of the suitcase, and sent him one final text. Your stuff is packed. Come get it and leave the key. Do not speak to me again. I blocked his number. I sat on the couch, staring at the blank TV screen, waiting for the pain to hit. It didn't. Instead, I felt lighter. Like I had been carrying something heavy for so long, I forgot what it felt like to breathe. I knew I'd have bad days. I knew I'd have moments where I'd miss the version of him I thought was real. But right now, I felt free.